is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
Handoff, Elliott plowing to the goal line. Barry, sacked by Lord. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Heckma Harrison, Rob Phillips, and Kyle Yeomans.
You know, over the last couple of months, we've been known for a couple of things here on this show. We've been known for props. We've been known for bets. We've been known for jokes. We've been known for so many different things, even at times being homers, being haters. It's all over the place whenever it comes to talking Cowboys. But one thing we've definitely been consistent on is saying it with our chest. And we normally say saying it with our chest for our Say It With Your Chest Fridays. But you know what? Now that the Christmas holidays in the rearview mirror, you're 16 weeks into the season. You've got week 17 on the horizon coming up here in just a couple of days, and the Dallas Cowboys have a shot still to make the playoffs and to win the NFC East. We're saying it with our chest all week long. It's a Say It With Your Chest week 17 on Talkin Cowboys after the Cowboys got a 37-17 win over the Philadelphia Eagles. And we're going to talk about it, and we're going to break it down. And we got our resident Super Bowl champion, Isaiah Stanback. We've got Cowboys insider Rob Phillips and our professional football analyst, Heckma Harrison, with you as always. Chris Beam doing a fantastic job running the ship in the back. I'm Kyle Yeomans, and I know you guys can't see it, but I've got my Jonathan Vilma, Kenny Albert set up. I've got a fireplace kind of sitting off to my left because, you know, the Cowboys are heating up right at the right time. They've won 3 straight games, including this one that eliminates the Philadelphia Eagles from contention in the NFC East and dashes their playoff hopes. And, Rob, you were there for the game. You were inside AT&T Stadium. I want to get your general thoughts about it because you could go any direction with this win. It was one of those all-around wins for the Cowboys.
Lloyd Christmas this holiday season, he's telling us there's a chance, a little bit of a chance. And, you know, it's like I referenced the 3-1 Cavs-Warriors series in 2016. Well, now it's down to Game 7, baby. It's down to Game 7. And Alex Smith, we'll see what happens with Washington's situation. But that's kind of the Draymond Green scenario. It's cracked the door open for the Cowboys, Washington losing 2 straight. And, look, they took care of business. They took care of business at home. Mike McCarthy said on the conference call afterwards, guys, that this is basically didn't recognize the team from 2 months ago. It's not the same team, and he's right because Heckman and I talked about this right before the show started. After that 81-yard touchdown a couple weeks ago or 2 months ago, that would have been easy money, right? It would have been easy money. Wasn't this time. They punched back. And they got a big-time victory, and they're playing with a lot of confidence right now, and there is a chance. There's an opportunity to play football into January, fellas.
Wow. Just that statement, Rob, like that is crazy, man. That is crazy to hear you say that there's a chance that we could actually make it into the postseason. But man, for me, if we could take any trait from 2020 on into the future with this team, it's going to be this defense's ability to create turnovers. Like Coach Mike McCarthy said, he doesn't recognize this team. I don't recognize him either because the turnovers has made life and watching football so enjoyable. And you see them just doing those little things that you watch every Sunday, just teams creating those turnovers. Shout out to our whole defensive front, man. But Randy Gregory, Jeez Louise, I guess if you're going to have a party, may as well have one right after Christmas, man. I mean, that dude was on one. And also Tank Lawrence and Crawford, there are a lot of guys to mention on our defensive line that had just a great showing with putting pressure on Jalen Hurts, man. For me and everything and watching that game, those first 2 touchdowns by Philadelphia, it just seemed like, you know, hello darkness, my old friend. Mm-hmm. We are about to get the doors blown off at AT&T Stadium. But Sean Lee said something on the sideline, and I don't know if he said I just saved a bunch of money on my insurance by switching to Geico, but he said something to get everybody's attention because our defense came out and balled.
I missed
Absolutely.
that. Did he say something on the sideline?
he definitely said
Oh,
something.
yeah, he definitely did.
Really? I
Yep.
didn't see that.
Yeah, he pulled the defense together.
Oh,
Really,
okay.
I can't remember if it was the first drive or the second drive, but he pulled the defense together after the Cowboys had gone down by at least one score and was very animated, very adamant. He had a ton of ethos on the sideline, Isaiah Stanback, whenever it came to his conversation that he had. But after that, I mean, if it was after the second drive, they were down 14-3, and the Cowboys outscored Philadelphia the rest of the game 34-3. And that's what I'm talking about. And Heckman talked about it too. You talk about the resiliency, the turnaround, the tenacity. It looked like it was going to be a blowout. 14-3, you felt real bad about the way you looked. And Isaiah, they were able to turn it around, and it ultimately ended up in an emphatic win.
Heck yeah, they turned it around, man. We talked about it in the pregame show about how they needed to be patient and they needed to be consistent. Well, when you get behind like you did early in that game, well, it kind of tests your patience, right? It tests your patience. But you have, guess what? Through consistency and through patience, you come out and you get ahead. Our defense went out there and balled out. We've been telling everybody on this show, everybody on this show for a while now that the playoffs is still a thing. And everybody's been looking at us sideways. Everybody's been tweeting us talking about y'all crazy. We need to go team tank. We need to play for draft picks. And we told y'all like about a month ago, hey, playoffs are still there. It doesn't sound good, but the reality is playoffs are still there. I think I heard that somewhere, Rob. You heard that somewhere? I don't know. But anyways, now we're there.
Somewhere.
Yeah. You know what else I heard somewhere? I also heard somewhere else that Andy Dalton is a beast. Did you hear that somewhere? I heard that along the way. Anyways, Andy Dalton showed up. He's been showing up. He's been getting better every single week. This offense is getting more consistent. Kellen Moore, I still almost punched you in your chest because of some of your bad decisions that you made. We still got to work on some of those things. Hand the ball off sometimes. You almost lost the game. But collectively, these guys came together and they got the W, and that's all that matters, man. We're in the week 17.
Say it with your chest, Isaiah. Say it with your chest. I love it.
One of the things about winning and the Cowboys winning, I don't know how it happens, but it just brings Isaiah to another level, and I'm okay with that. You know, I will take that sacrifice if that's what it needs to be.
I heard something a couple weeks ago about 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. I can't remember where I heard that or when I heard that, but I recall something to that. Something about a tree? About a tree.
It was a bet that Isaiah made. He said Andy Dalton was going to go 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he was a couple weeks late. Just a couple weeks later, Heckman Harrison wouldn't have that really nice-looking tree coming off to the left side. But guys, I kind of want to put this in perspective because there's a lot of happiness right now. I mean, one, there's been a turnaround. 3-9 and 6-9 are two completely different places for this ball club. And regardless of who you beat, where you beat them, what the score was, you got the job done and you took care of business the way that you were supposed to take care of business. But I want to know how real this is because I mean, this is a team that, one, you're going to go looking for a playoff spot that in the first round, you're going to host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you're going to have Tom Brady come to town that first week of the playoffs, should you get in via a Washington loss and a Cowboys win here in Week 17. But you've beaten 3 teams, 4-win Philly, 5 wins San Francisco, now a 4-win Cincinnati. I mean, you're not out there beating playoff teams. You're beating below 500 programs right now. Does that take anything away from this winning streak, Heckma, or is it still kind of got to do what you got to do, play who you play, who's on the schedule, and control what you can control?
You answered it. I mean, play who you can play and control what you can control. This team needs to just keep blinders on and not even look down the road at who could possibly come to AT&T Stadium if that happens at all. You know, this is the part of the, this is the part of the season where you need help from other teams. We're not out of it yet. Obviously, we still need some help, and it's hard to say that you're going to be a Philadelphia Eagles fan this week, but you really just hope that they have a good showing to even make that a possibility. But just play within themselves and do what they've been doing. This defense right now, this is the defense that you can line up and trust to get you the ball back. We hadn't had that to be a reality. And Isaiah, man, you spot on. Like Andy Dalton This Andy Dalton is like, yesterday he was gunslinging it all around. I don't know about the red rifle. We got to give him another nickname, bro, because the way that he was laying that ball out, he was spot on, quick throws, reading his poise in the pocket, ability to escape the rush, all of those things. And even when he had to create with his feet, he did so many wonderful things. But looking down the road at other teams right now, let's just realize that we have the Giants in front of us and we have to take care of business.
Isaiah?
Heckman hit it right on the head, man. That's it. I mean, you handle what you can handle. Right now we got the Giants on our schedule. That's all that matters. I don't care what you got to do to get up for that game. You get up for it. You take care of what you can, and that's win this ball game. And then you hope that the other team takes care of business as well, so that you can slide into them playoffs. As long as you get into them playoffs, it doesn't matter how you get there. It doesn't matter if you get there with home field advantage. It doesn't matter if you slide up in there with a losing record. It really doesn't matter. As long as you have a chance to go out there and get that doggone Lombardi, because once you get into the playoffs, once you have that opportunity, once that slot is solidified, now it's a 4-game winning streak. That's all you're looking for. You're looking for a 4-game winning streak, and every dog, I don't care if you play in Tampa Bay or not, a clock is right twice a day, and that's all you need. Yep. That's all you need.
KY, the pessimism. Just the pessimism.
That's not what it is. I just want to keep it real because, whenever it comes to this winning streak, you're not beating top-notch programs. And you're not beating organizations.
You're absolutely right.
That doesn't take away from it.
Absolutely right.
And getting 7 wins with this roster is impressive. I don't care who you're playing with because you don't have your quarterback. You haven't had your running back for a game. You haven't had your all-pro tackles. You haven't had a Hall of Fame guard. You've had injuries in every single position of the secondary. I don't care who it is, who you're beating. It's impressive what Mike McCarthy has done to turn things around. I just want to put it in perspective a little bit more if we're talking about a team that's now going to be a contender.
You are absolutely right, 100%. And look, you go down the schedule, and they're 0-6, I believe, against teams with winning records this season. They're 0-6. So, but you kind of led me where I was going to go. When they lost Dak for the season, Jerry Jones even admitted expectations have been adjusted. Mm-hmm. And when you talk to guys, players, coaches, they don't, even the front office, they don't talk about winning the division, winning the Super Bowl right now. The last few weeks, it's been about just getting better, week to week improvement. And if a division title at 7-9 comes along with that, that's great. But I think they realize we just had to get better as a football team. Like that's been the first goal, and clearly they've done that. Despite, like you said, yes, it's a drop in competition lately. But I would just say, what the Joneses saw in hiring Mike McCarthy when they went through that rough patch for what 80% of the season was, he won his last 4 games in Green Bay the first season there in 2006. And they started, I think, 1-4, finished strong, and then they got on that run. Like, they believe in momentum year to year. And look, they're on the verge of winning 4 straight to end the season. His first year in Dallas, That's encouraging.
Yeah, come on, Kyle. I understand you love playing the devil's advocate, but come on, dog. We gotta win, okay?
He's worried about that draft pick. Hey, I'm worried about the draft pick.
Can we pull out our smelly stickers? I've been waiting to pull my smelly stickers out all year, dog.
Pull them out.
We got smelly stickers for guys. I'm telling you, dog. Our team balled out. Hey, Andy Dalton got scrubbed in for surgery, and he went to work on the Eagles. I love it. And Kellen Moore made Schwartz look like an elementary school teacher yesterday. He made him, every time he went man-to-man, Kellen made him pay. There's been a lot of questions about Kellen Moore all year, and going up against defensive coordinators of high stature. Man, he showed out yesterday.
Yeah, 0 blitz down there. 3rd down. That was an interesting call by Philly there. Yeah. Took advantage of it.
Yeah. What do you think about this, Isaiah? I mean, you're talking about a battle of teams that are quote unquote in the basement, but your whole division's in the basement. You still have a shot to make the playoffs. I get that, but where do you feel like this team is right now, and how impressive has this turnaround been for Mike McCarthy to even get to 6 wins, maybe 7?
I hate to use the New York reference, man, but it feels like my Super Bowl year with the Giants.
Whoa,
that's what it feels like. I'm just telling you what it feels like. And I've mentioned this before. I know, but the reality is we slid in them playoffs like people be sliding in Kyle's DMs. So I'm saying, like, so
that's a full inbox right there, baby.
Just saying, full inbox. You know what I'm saying? So it's a possibility, man. And the thing is, those guys, you hear it all the time. You want to be building momentum at this point of the year. I don't care what your record is. It really doesn't matter what your record is. People can talk about records all day long. It doesn't matter. If the Cowboys slide into playoffs and go win a Super Bowl, nobody's going to talk about how terrible their record was. They're going to say, oh, my gosh, how amazing was this team to come back and overcome everything? That's what you're going to talk about. You're not going to talk about the record. So your division is your division. You win enough games to win your division. That's all that matters. And then you get in the playoffs and you do your thing.
I still can't get over the DM comment. Yeah, I'm still I'm shaking up from the DM comment. But,
yeah.
So, there's plenty to break down whenever it comes to this game. I mean, because we can talk about the offense over 500 yards. We can talk about the defense still allowing 470 and kind of some of the struggles in the red zone for this offense as well. So we're going to step aside and we're going to come back. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the offense. I mean, Andy Dalton showed out, but so did these receivers and Zeke. Was he vintage Zeke? Did we see a little bit more oomph from 21 out of the backfield? We'll talk about it next year on Talkin Cowboys.
There's nothing as unique as our eyes, which is why Essilor pioneers ways to make lenses as unique as you. Verilux for super sharp vision, Essential Blue for protection, and Crizal for freedom from glare. 3 cutting-edge solutions in a single unique lens. So whatever your needs, insist on Essilor. Visit your local Essilor experts and find the perfect lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Want to show your Texas and team pride too? You can. By purchasing your own Stetson, you can look just like how the flag guys do on field at every home game. Stetson hats, the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys, and your favorite football team.
Get yours today at shop.dallascowboys.com or at stetson.com.
I'm Jay Novacek, former tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. Back in the day, I was the guy who always got the tough yards, and that's why I run with John Deere today. In fact, I have a John Deere 3025E tractor that can handle any yard work I need to do, even the tough yards way out back. So if you have 1 acre or 1,000, John Deere has the equipment that's just right for you. Visit a John Deere dealer today and run with us. We are the official tractor provider of your Dallas Cowboys.
Dear, it's 1908. Don't you think we should get electricity?
And stop using candles to see at night.
It's just electricity lights up the room fast. It's more reliable than candles blowing out, and people seem to love it nationwide.
Well, candles are...
Dear, did you just run into the wall?
Nope. May I have a new candle, please?
Historically, switching to new technology is a no-brainer. Today, it's AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure, and nationwide. Switch to AT&T 5G. It's not complicated. 5G requires compatible plan. May not be in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
Back here on Talkin Cowboys, presented by Geico, where whether you're watching from home or you're watching in the stands with Essilor lenses, you can see every exciting play and every exciting Cowboys win with Essilor lenses. You'll see all those plays, and you can book an appointment with your local Essilor experts and see what Essilor can do for you. See more, do more. Essilor, as always, on Talkin Cowboys. Glad you're with us, celebrating on a Victory Monday, and what we have tabbed as Say It With Your Chest Week here on Talkin Cowboys. It's the final week of the regular season, and the Cowboys could find their way into an NFC East divisional title with a Washington loss against Philadelphia this Sunday and with a Cowboys win against the New York Giants. I think this is crazy, talking about the storylines. Jay Jeezy at home, Jason Garrett has an opportunity to end the Cowboys' divisional hopes. I mean, you couldn't write a better script. Yep, couldn't write a better script. And we're going to preview that throughout the week. I'm not sure if we have a show on Friday, but we'll have plenty to talk about throughout the week. But let's go into this offense, gentlemen, because I mean, it's already been said plenty of times by Isaiah Stanback that he was right, and Andy Dalton had a fantastic game yesterday. His best game by far as a Dallas Cowboy. He finishes off with 22 of 30 passing, 377 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had that one interception on the deep ball where he was trying to get it to CeeDee Lamb, and it was picked off by Slay. So overall, a fantastic game, 134 passer rating for Andy Dalton. But Rob, what did you see from the Red Rifle yesterday and how he was able to get his receivers involved? It was Michael Gallup in the first half, Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, a combination of the two in the second half. But I thought it was fantastic all around from the passing game.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one thing we've said about Andy from the moment he took over for Dak midseason was going back to his Cincinnati days. When he's got time in the pocket, he can pick you apart. And I saw a stat yesterday from, I think it was ESPN. He's got more like 350-plus yard games with 3 touchdowns than Russell Wilson in his career. I mean, we kind of forget he's put up some numbers in his career. Now, he's got to have the table set around him, but that's for 95% of the quarterbacks in the league that have to have that. And the thing I really wanted to point to, Kyle, was just the protection up front, man.
Awesome.
When Zach Martin went down with the calf injury a couple games ago, and we'll see if he can come off IR this week. I don't know that. My confidence in finishing this thing out dropped for sure because they haven't been able to run the ball as well without him, and certainly without some of the other veterans on the line. But this young line has done a good job protecting him. We saw the creases in the running game in the second half, and not just the line up front, man. Guys throwing blocks for each other yesterday. Amari Cooper springing Michael Gallup for that huge play down the left sideline. Dalton Schultz getting some chip blocks downfield on the second level. Like, guys really just laying out to help each other get big gains. Like, that was a complete performance offensively. And really, we haven't seen a performance like that since Seattle with Dak or the Giants game or, early in the season before Dak got hurt. Really impressive.
Heckma?
Yeah, that's that complimentary football that we've been craving to see. And offensive line wise, man, you got to compliment these guys. You got to give them the check mark for how they performed yesterday, because I think collectively, we know that this isn't a group that's going to play power ball, but they're athletic enough to get in the way of guys, move them, and give Andy Dalton the time that he needs. And he had it yesterday. And that's where it all started for me. And just Zeke, and there wasn't all of those yards that Zeke gained. It wasn't as though the hole was there every time. Zeke had to create a lot of that. Man, it's just one of those wins where you go back and you look at how everybody was, like you said, Rob, blocking for each other down the field, open receivers, guys are just, putting in that extra effort to get those extra yards, and Dalton to Dalton. And those times where we needed to continue to move the chain, Andy Dalton, finding Dalton Schultz, those things may not look huge on the stat sheet, but those are the things that continue to keep drives alive. And you saw a lot of that yesterday from the Cowboys. They just didn't give up. And I promise you, I'd seen enough of it where in games past where they would have given up and there wouldn't have been a lot of life in this team, but they didn't do that. And offensively, it started up front. And those guys, man, they need all 5 smelly stickers across the board.
I think Joe Philbin.
I think that you're just starting to see
Go for it, Isaiah.
Go ahead. I was just going to say that it's just a product of Andy Dalton being in this system, right? I think every week we've seen him evolve. Not only has he evolved, but I think Kellen Moore has evolved. They both still have a way, still have work to do. Obviously, as every player that touches the field does, every coordinator does. But I think you're starting to see everybody get more comfortable with each other. Obviously, we continue to have, an assembly line of linemen up there. But Coach Philbin is amazing, and you're seeing a product of his genius, right? Those guys are buying into what he's telling them. His coaching shows up every single week, regardless of who's out there. So you see that consistency there. But then you also see the consistency of Kellen Moore trusting Andy Dalton. You see Andy Dalton getting more comfortable with his offensive line, him actually having protection from the first time he touched the field to today. You see that difference. You see what happens when he has time. You see his timing getting better. Every week there's been passes that he's missed, right? There's been big plays that have been missed. There's been big plays that guys have dropped, whether the ball got on them too fast or it was in a location that they weren't expecting, they're not used to, or, Andy Dalton, overthrowing them because he's not sure of their speed, right? Well, he can't gauge it properly, the angles, the pitch on everything, right? All that stuff has been getting dialed in every week. There's been less overthrows. There's been less drops. There's been less protection issues. And it's just a product of these guys playing together. And that's what I'm talking about. When you give these guys anybody opportunity to play together for an extended period of time, this is what you see. And you're seeing that show up every single week now, and it's getting better. Now we're all just hopeful that this defense continues to play like they're playing. 10 turnovers in the last few games, that's freaking amazing. Right now, we just want to see the yards go down, because if we do have to go up against a team like Tampa in the future, that doesn't really work to your favor, because they're not going to, right now we're banking on allowing teams to get the yardage and then stopping them once they get down to the red zone. When you start facing some of those better teams, they don't kick field goals, right? They get the yardage and then they convert and they score touchdowns. So that's when you run into issues. But we want to see that improve. But collectively, every phase of the game is getting better.
And that's the red zone goal to go, man. You can go back 2-3 years, and that's been a problem for this offense. And so it's not necessarily just the guys they're missing. They've just had problems down there, and I think they're fifth to last in goal to go conversions. It's like two-thirds of the time they're scoring touchdowns, man. That's just not good enough. And but other than that, you're right about you can't kick field goals. I was impressed though, and a little surprised. I don't know why I was surprised, because Philly's banged up in the secondary. Even getting Darius Slay back, they were banged up. They went after Philly's secondary from the jump, and
they did.
Just really, really impressive. And spreading the ball around. He had one throw that he really needed to have back, and that's the pick. If he leads CeeDee Lamb a little bit more, that's probably another touchdown.
House call. Yeah, that's a house call. And Isaiah, I want to ask you and you kind of you said it, but this Andy Dalton is so night and day in this system right now, and you see the opportunities that how explosive this offense can be with the three amigos, the three wide receivers, and Zeke. What do you see that has changed and made Andy Dalton what he is or what he was yesterday? Because I didn't see the same guy that was patting the ball, waiting on guys to come open. He was throwing guys open.
Yeah, and I talked about that from the first time he entered the game, right? From his first week he touched the field, I talked about, hey, give this guy some time, because he has to get used to the system. Right, he wasn't coming in expecting. He didn't have the reps thrown to these receivers. He didn't have the reps given cadences to the offensive line, right, and being able to call out defenses and them being able to communicate that way. All those things take time which you would have had in camp. But guess what? Camp wasn't really the way it's supposed to be. So all those things didn't happen earlier. So guess what? Now that time has to happen throughout the season. It's not the best time to try to figure those things out. It's not the best time to try to get continuity. It's not the best time to try to figure out what type of release Cooper's going to run versus what type of release Gallup's going to run. When is he going to come open? Does he run his slant off of 3 steps? Does he run his slant off of 5 steps? Is it a 1-step guy? All those things take time to gather. And as you become more confident with those things, as you get more reps in games, as you get more reps in practice, now I can stand up there and I can throw with confidence, because guess what? I know how Kyle's going to run this route, right? I know how Rob's going to stem on this particular route or this particular concept. I know how these guys are going to do switch releases versus this man coverage. All those things take time, and nobody, as fans don't want to sit back and watch that and wait for that. But guess what? That's the reality of football.
And you mentioned the line too. I think it's like 300 straight snaps now they've played together, and like that matters. And they've kept the same center. Joe Looney stayed at center, and for a second you're like, oh, now Connor Williams is the one guy that hasn't gotten hurt this season, and they announced he had a knee injury and was questionable to return. He comes running onto the field right as Tyler Biadasz is stepping in. So they've had some continuity there. That's key for your quarterback too.
Well, and they also only allowed the 2 sacks yesterday as an offensive line, and of course rushed for 151 yards as well. So there has to be a ton of credit to Joe Philbin. At the end of the year, we're probably going to do some superlatives here on this show, and that might be the coach of the year in my eyes. I think in this coaching staff and what he's had to deal with, the amount of turnover, the revolving door of players that have had to go in and out of that offensive line, and now that you've found a rhythm, and you're still playing with Terrence Steele on the right side, you're still playing with Brandon Knight on the left. That's your tackles. Those are your tackles. And even yesterday, we saw Brandon Knight get to that second level and find an opportunity to block someone downfield, and that was also what helped out Michael Gallup on that long run down the left sideline. But another thing about Andy Dalton and really this whole offensive line and this front five before we move on to Zeke here in a second, but the thing that was encouraging to me the most was the fact you did it against the top 5 pass rush. I mean, Philadelphia's pass rush is as good as anybody's in the NFL. You can put it right there with the Washingtons and the Pittsburghs. Numbers-wise, go look at it. Look at the rankings. They were a top 5 pass rush, and not only did they stem the pass rush, but they found an opportunity to exploit it and to wait for the blitz and to wait and pick it up and find a way to get it to the receivers in space, and the receivers made them pay, just like we thought whenever they drafted CeeDee Lamb with the 17th overall pick earlier this April. This is what we thought we would see from those receivers, and it was a ton of fun overall to watch. But I do want to talk about Ezekiel Elliott. This is a guy who deserves a lot of credit. There was a ton of pressure on Zeke to come back and perform after the 130-yard game that Tony Pollard had yesterday. Well, what did he do? He had more than 130 yards from scrimmage. He had 100 yards on the ground, 105 to be exact, and then he had 34 more through the air. It's the most scrimmage yardage by a running back this season for the Cowboys, breaking Tony Pollard's 134 that he had last week from scrimmage. But, Isaiah, what did you see from Ezekiel Elliott and what would look like to be a little bit of extra juice from Zeke yesterday?
Yeah, Zeke was pissed off, man. He was pissed. It's pretty simple. I think he's been running hard all year, and I think I talked about it last week, how I think he's been running hard. He just hasn't necessarily had those holes. I think he had a little bit more patience yesterday than he's had in the past. Some of those things that weren't open immediately, you saw him kind of get a little drop step there, and then he had a burst, right? Everybody's talking about where's his burst gone. Well, I think he was waiting to get through the second level to initiate his burst, and yesterday he did it in the actual backfield. There were plenty of plays yesterday. I could probably say about 4 or 5 plays where he should have been tackled for about 4 or 5 yard loss. Yep. And he fought his way, and he busted his butt to shake 2 or 3 dudes off him just to get to the line of scrimmage, which on the stat sheet shows up as a 0 gain or a 1 yard gain. But guess what? It should have been negatives. Yeah. And I think he started to continue to build confidence. And you saw those bursts as he started getting through. He started slipping through blocks and things of that nature, and then laying the hammer down. And they kept giving it to him, and then they went away from him. I hate that, but you saw his confidence build, and I'm just excited to see Zeke doing what he does. He's been blocking well, but yesterday was definitely his best rushing game, and I think it's all about has to do with confidence.
Rob?
There's some creases in the second half. Some off right guard, Connor McGovern creating some creases. He had some holes to run through. And I was just thinking in the second half, this is the first time since probably December of last year against the Rams where he and Tony Pollard both had 100 yards rushing in the same game. That was the first time in 20 years. That was the first time I can remember Zeke just kind of being the finisher, finishing the game and having that opportunity to just salt away the football game. So that was good to see. That's where he really comes into play because of that physical style that can wear on you over 4 quarters, and we finally got to see it. It's been a weird season where there haven't been opportunities for that.
Yeah, I love to see it too, and I agree with both of you guys. And the question has been asked, has Zeke been listening to what the naysayers have been saying? And he even went on in an interview and said, no, they don't sign my checks. But he's answering questions about what people are saying. And he ran like a running back that is sick of it, right? Mm-hmm. And he was finishing those runs. And you saw a couple of times they showed a super slow-mo. A guy got his hand on the ball kind of wiggles a little bit. And he quickly puts both hands over. He's like, nope, not going to get a fumble out of me. I just loved it. I loved everything about it. I know it hasn't been a season where we've thought of Zeke in terms of those upper echelon running backs in the league, but I think him just finishing strong is going to be a lot for his confidence, especially one where, he was running with a bruised calf yesterday, so we have to put that in there also. But look, as much as we're celebrating all of this, let's also realize that when Fletcher Cox went out, I think our offensive line said,
Thank you, Lord.
let's party. Fletcher's out. But he's a lead goon for the Eagles. But even with, I would like to think that if he was in there, we still would have got 105 yards. But it just was a great scheming up Zeke and getting him involved. And like you said, Rob, he was finishing runs yesterday.
It was huge for confidence level for Zeke yesterday to have that game, and we saw that. And he even said it afterwards. He said, I felt healthy. I mean, I went out there, and I've been playing with that calf the last couple of weeks, but I felt good. He was like, that week did me really good. I was able to kind of rest and rejuvenate, and you saw that yesterday. He had that burst, and hopefully that continues going into the final week of the season because they're going to need him. I mean, that's the kind of game you want to play where you get your weapons involved. 200-yard receivers and a 100-yard rusher, and you almost had another 100-yard receiver. That's pretty impressive all around from the offense and something that I know the Cowboys have been waiting for throughout 2020. But let's look at the defensive side of the football. 3 forced fumbles from Randy Gregory and another 3 turnovers and takeaways from this defense. They have 10 over the last 3 games alone. We'll talk about that defense, and is this the real deal when we come back here on Talkin' Cowboys, presented by Geico.
We're back with a tasty treat that's sweeping airwaves and taste buds. It's new Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda. Let's take a listen.
Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda's here. A new combo that's music to my ears, okay. Let's play. Cream Soda and Dr. Pepper time. Pour it in a glass of ice.
Music to my ears and mouth. New Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda.
A delicious duet.
There's nothing as unique as our eyes, which is why Essilor pioneers ways to make lenses as unique as you. Verilux for super sharp vision, Essential Blue for protection, and Crizal for freedom from glare. 3 cutting-edge solutions in a single unique lens. So whatever your needs, insist on Essilor. Visit your local Essilor experts and find the perfect lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way. Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Dear, it's 1908. Don't you think we should get electricity?
And stop using candles to see at night.
It's just electricity lights up the room fast. It's more reliable than candles blowing out, and people seem to love it nationwide.
Well, candles are...
Dear, did you just run into the wall?
Nope. May I have a new candle, please?
Historically, switching to new technology is a no-brainer. Today, it's AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure, and nationwide. Switch to AT&T 5G. It's not complicated. 5G requires compatible plan. May not be in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Final segment here of Talking Cowboys on a Victory Monday after the Cowboys take down the Philadelphia Eagles 37-17. And, Isaiah's looking at his headphones right now, and whether you're listening to Talking Cowboys or you're working out or you're trading those DraftKings fantasy football players, you can experience audio at a whole new level with your Bose Quiet Comfort earbuds. Bose Quiet Comfort earbuds help you experience that audio at a different level, and they're the official earbuds of the Dallas Cowboys. Heckma has them. Isaiah does not, and Isaiah's pretty upset about it, as you can see it. But you know what, Isaiah? I'm going to cheer you up a little bit. You know why? Because we have a little bit of breaking news here on Talking Cowboys. So,
breaking news.
Breaking news here on Talking Cowboys from Adam Schefter on Twitter a couple minutes ago.
Oh, Shefty.
Yeah, Shefty came out and he said, Washington football team head coach Ron Rivera has said that Taylor Heineke, the Old Dominion product and original third-string quarterback for the Washington football team, will play in Sunday night's division-deciding game against the Eagles if Alex Smith cannot. Now, that just basically names Heineke as the backup while Dwayne Haskins would be now the third-string quarterback and basically out.
They hate that dude.
Yeah, they are done with Dwayne Haskins, and he hasn't necessarily shown out at all. But Heineke is now the backup. Alex Smith tried to play yesterday against Carolina, did not happen. Dwayne Haskins was then trotted out there and thus taken off the field as well. So, I mean, if all comes to fruition for the Cowboys, Heineke will be the one leading the Washington football team to the line of scrimmage come this Sunday, and the Cowboys could somehow come out with an NFC East title on Sunday. Still lots to go, but let's talk about this defense here for a little bit, gentlemen, because this defense has stepped things up. I don't care who you're playing. 10 turnovers in 3 games is pretty fantastic, and that's exactly what they've done. They're +9 in the turnover margin since that Cincinnati game. Another 3 yesterday, a pick from Anthony Brown, a pick for Trayvon Diggs, and then we had a fumble recovery off of a forced fumble from Randy Gregory, who forced 3 in the game. But what did you guys think about the defense, Isaiah? We'll start with you, but it really was a fantastic defensive showing, and the fact that you even gave up 470 yards, but you bend, don't break. That's what this defense was.
Yeah, I think the front 7 plays substantially better, for sure. I think these guys are flying around. I think they've kind of found their mojo, per se. The guys on the D-line, it's almost like these guys have a little big play board. You know, back in the day, we used to have big play boards, and, you know, after the game, you tally up who had the big plays of the game, and you go up there and somebody gets some kind of reward, right, whether it's a little locker room pot or whatever. But it seems like they have some kind of internal competition going on because everybody's trying to get home. Everybody's trying to get home, and it's awesome to see. Second-level guys, I mean, I think with the athleticism showed up yesterday. They were running around. Secondary, it was a little scary because we had a little bit of that miscommunication that we had early on in the season. That big play from Deshaun Jackson, it was miscommunication again. It's like, hey, is this safety switching off on this guy, or is this corner staying with this guy? And so some of that stuff that we saw earlier in the season that we broke down many times ago, Kyle, we started seeing a little bit of that kind of seep in again. So hopefully they shear that up. We're giving up too many yards again, but overall, these guys are forcing turnovers, and that's all that really matters.
Rob?
Randy Gregory, arguably the best player on the defense right this minute.
Isn't that awesome?
I would put Tank. I would put Tank 1 just because of what he brings week to week. Some things you don't see, but Randy's providing some of that too, and I think he forced 3 fumbles for the first time in a Cowboys game since 2016 when David Irving did that at Lambeau Field. That was the big Dak Prescott, kind of Dak's first signature win as the quarterback. He's just been everywhere, and it's been a great story. He seems to get better week to week, kind of as the defense is getting better week to week. And I'll just point out an adjustment that the coaching staff made. We saw a little bit of, we've talked about with some quarterbacks they faced this year that can really beat you with their legs, should they spy? Isaiah's talked about that. Maybe not all the time, but you can kind of mix it in. They mix C.J. Goodwin in there as a spy in sub packages.
The second half,
which we haven't seen. And man, that first drive with Jalen Hurts, the scrambles, it was like watching Kyler Murray just kind of take off and find a seam. They were able to do a great job in the second half of, with their rush lanes, keep him in the pocket. And that was, to me, that was the difference in the game in the second half. Really good job.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it from our front 7. A lot of times, we had talked about Jalen Hurts and his ability to pass and find those little creases and holes and zones. And how do you play a guy that has so many talents in his wheelhouse? I think we found it. And, with the front 7 getting the push on Jalen Hurts, and you got to remember, he's not that tall of a quarterback. And what looked like coverage sacks were just his inability to see it, right? Because guys were in his lap. And Randy Gregory, you say it, Rob. He had a monster game. Not only rushing the passer, but also in the run. He did a lot of great things against that read option. Not playing discipline and not ad-libbing and doing all the quality things that you need to do. A lot of times when you see that read option and guys like Tank Lawrence are biting too far inside and creating a big lane, they didn't do that this time, and they really played assignment sound. Aside from that one, Deshaun Jackson got bomb, and And just for FYI, guys, from now on, if number 10 doesn't retire, he's going to go. He's just going to be a go route, all right? It's not going to be a slant. It's going to be a go route. So let's put that in the script. Just know what he's going to run. But I'm proud of this defense. I'm proud of them, one, for getting punched in the mouth and remaining resilient and fighting all the way through this game. And I love it. And that's from Anthony Brown and his interception, Trayvon Diggs and his as well. I mean, these guys played great football. Jay Lou showed up and the sack that he had. I mean, it was just, you got to give Mike Nolan credit. You know, we talk a lot about him and whether he's going to be on this staff next year and all of those things. He put a defensive plan together for Jalen Hurts. He confused Jalen Hurts. And, man, consequently, the defense, they pulled one out.
You know, I think the rushing defense still needs the run defense still has some holes to fill. I mean, they gave up 151 yards, much like the Cowboys rushed for against Philadelphia. There's still a lot to fill there, but I think the pass rush was there. I love the way that they did handle Jalen Hurts, even though Hurts still got his fill, 21 of 39, 342 yards and a touchdown, but he threw the couple of interceptions. He put the ball on the turf. He gave you opportunities to win that football game, which is kind of exactly what we had talked about earlier in the week, last week, Isaiah, in Film Room. This is a rookie quarterback. You have to put pressure on him, and you have to make him make split-second decisions where he could ultimately make a mistake. And I think that's what happened. The Cowboys were able to do that and turn things around. The secondary still has some holes, too. And I want to talk about that secondary tomorrow. We're running out of time today, but I mean, even with everybody back, we saw some holes. Trayvon Diggs didn't have a great game. He did end up with the pick later in the game, but that was kind of a gimme center field pick. And then you had Chido Awuzie, who was kind of off on occasions, but he made a couple plays in the secondary as well. But I want to talk about really the DBs tomorrow and get in deeper into this defense. But that is going to do it here for us on Talkin Cowboys. We've got to step aside as we've got plenty of shows throughout the day on DallasCowboys.com celebrating this victory Monday. But want to thank everybody involved, and thanks for everybody for watching here over the last 45 minutes. We've got Say It With Your Chest Week here on Talkin Cowboys. Plenty more to come here over the next couple of days. But for today, for Chris Beam in the back, for Heckma Harrison, for Rob Phillips and Isaiah Stanback, I'm Kyle Yeomans saying so long from the Star in Frisco. We'll see you tomorrow on Talkin Cowboys.
Yeah, Kyle.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?